Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. My name is Darien Jones. I'm the Caregiver Education and Digital Specialist at Care Partners. We're back for another Hot Topic Live segment on this Wednesday afternoon. We have author and speaker Leah Stanley joining us again this week. This week, we're going to tackle a new topic. We're going to cover stress management. We're actually titling this All Stressed Up and Nowhere to Go, because we all know we're kind of stuck at home right now, but that doesn't mean that we should be holding on to this stress. We're going to talk about some different ways to relax and just find joy in our lives. Hello, Leah. I'm just going to welcome Leah real quick. Hi.
Hey, Darien, it's great to be back with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to just tell us how you've been and how some of the ways you've been dealing with the stress?
Well, it is so funny. I have had a lot of people talking about, I'm at home, I'm climbing the walls, what am I going to do? And I laughed because my family we've lived like this for many years. My husband works from home. I have homeschooled both of our kids. And so I've been a stay-at-home mom. And when I finished my book and it was published, had a publisher pick it up, and all of a sudden I had a publisher looking at me saying, okay, I want you speaking, I want you talking, I want you doing this. And I was like, oh, wow, that's different. So I started going out and doing things associated with the book, and then projects like this that we're doing right now, reaching in, trying to help some caregivers out. But it's been kind of different for me to be able to do that. For us, our whole world was at home. Everything was at home that we did. And so it was really funny because we had to learn kind of early on how to cope with the stress, because honestly, you love your family, but being around your family sometimes can be very stressful. And particularly if a caregiver is in the home, and especially if you're taking care of your loved one in the home, I mean, your stress level is automatically going to be, ringing the bell at any given moment, because you're going to have your hands full trying to take care of your own life, but you're also trying to take care of the loved one that's got whatever kind of illness. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, in my case, my grandparents both had dementia. But some people, are at home with loved ones who have other types of illness. But whatever it is that's got you as a caregiver, that job is stressful. And so I'm hoping today maybe we can shed a little bit of light on some things that we can do to maybe ease that stress just a little bit. Can't make it completely go away, unfortunately, wish we could, but maybe if we can find some ways to cut the corners on it, kind of dull it down a little bit, might help us.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have to realize that we can't completely eliminate it, but there are always ways to find fun things to do and to make yourself happier. And one thing you were kind of mentioning, for some caregivers, this staying at home is their everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of talk about that a little bit too, but I'm just going to let you take it away.
Well, one of the first things, something I did when I was a caregiver was, my grandparents have passed away, and so I'm no longer actually in that role. But when I was, one of the greatest benefits for me was I went to see a counselor, and I was able to sit down and actually just verbalize, wow, here's what I'm going through. This is what it feels like, and this is what I don't like about it, and why can't we fix it, et cetera, et cetera. You can imagine. Well, obviously, the situation we have today, you may not have that option to just pick up the phone and make an appointment to go see a counselor, but perhaps there's someone in your church, or someone, if you're not affiliated with the church, there might be a church that is in your neighborhood, someone that you know of that goes to a particular church. Most of these ministerial staffs, I would imagine, would be available for you by phone. So if you wanted to call someone up and just sit down, meet them on Zoom, or some other social media platform, Skype or something like that, sit down and try to talk with them. Try to explain, let me tell you how I feel. Let me tell you what's going on. It sounds kind of crazy. You think, oh, what good is that going to do? You would be surprised. Sometimes, and studies will back this up, people just being able to share how they feel, even if they think, oh, I'm going to sound crazy if I start telling people the things I think and how I feel. No. You'd be surprised how many people think the same way and feel the same way, but you don't know that if you don't share it out. So sometimes just being able to talk to another person, maybe it's not even a trained counselor. If you have a good close friend, if you have someone, even a neighbor that you can talk to across the fence, just talking to another human being and being able to say, I need to tell you, this is very stressful. They might begin to share with you, well, I'm feeling that way too. The next thing you know, you've connected over this situation, because essentially we're all in this, everybody's at home together sort of thing. But the caregiver has a particularly difficult role, because there's ordinary stress in life. There's, ordinary things that you have to do. But this caregiver role, this is something extra. This is something a little more intense. You have emotions that are going with this. You have logistics that are going with this. You have to take them places. You have to do things. There are things you have to do to help them out. Medication. Sometimes they may need assistance eating or showering or different things like that. This is heavy duty, and this stuff builds up. And this is something, even when there's no pandemic going on and life is what we've considered normal, the caregiver is still under a lot of stress. So sometimes just being able to talk to someone, be able to pour it out, share how you feel, that can be a tremendous help to have a listening ear. Another thing that I would advise people very much, physical exercise. I know, they're dirty words and we don't like to hear them. A lot of times it's so much easier to sit in the chair and do nothing. I would encourage physical exercise. Get up, take a walk. If you have a dog, that is like the built-in excuse right there. Put the leash on and you and the dog hit the sidewalk. For one thing, you're out in the open air. It is the best form of social distancing. You don't necessarily run into anyone else. You might, or if you do, you can cross the street, whatever. But take yourself out and get some physical exercise. If you happen to have a treadmill, that perhaps the treadmill's been your coat rack for a long time, it's been holding your dirty clothes or your clean clothes or something, it's a drying rack for you, dust it off. And so if it's raining, or if you have cool mornings like we did this morning in Houston, we were quite cool, so you might want to get on your treadmill. But get your body moving, get some physical movement going. First of all, it's good for you, just pitiful, keeping you from being pitiful. What I mean, it's better for you if you can get yourself moving, if nothing else is wrong. It's just good for you health-wise. But it also releases all these positive chemicals into your body, which energizes you. And you'd be amazed how you will wake up and go, hey, yeah, I can do this. I feel refreshed. I feel like I've done something good. So I really, really encourage that as much as you are able, as much as you can, even if it's just 5 minutes, take a walk, go out in your backyard, go walk to the mailbox, something like that. Just getting out of the house for a minute, breathe. These things can be really, really helpful.
I love both of those ideas, and I can probably admit I may not be going outside as much as I should be working from home. I think it's really important to get that fresh air and just go outside, even if it's just for a walk, like you said. I also really like just being able to talk to someone. I think it's, at least for me personally, it's really, really helpful for me to just, even if I'm just able to rant for 5 minutes and just get it off my chest,
Right.
I feel just so much better. So being able to find someone in your life who can do that for you could be really helpful. And if you don't, Care Partners, we are offering the Common Ground support group twice a week. So if you're at home and you really are feeling very isolated, you can go to carepartnerstexas.org, go to the Find Help Common Ground section, and you can find the phone number to call in to the Common Ground phone conference. So there's a moderator, someone who's kind of leading the session, and everyone gets a chance to share and talk. And so that's just another way for people to connect if you're looking to do that.
I think that's excellent. Again, there's no substitute for being able to just share how you feel and being able to talk about what's going on with you and inside your thoughts and things like that. And the thing about that too, if you're in a group like the Care Partners Texas, these support groups, you can listen to other people and see, I'm not really alone. But then again, you might have something to say that benefits someone else in the group. And you would think to yourself, oh, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I have nothing to bring to the table. Please. Yes, you do. You just really don't know. And you start talking, and then all of a sudden somebody's looking at you going, I've thought that same thing. I've felt that same way. So I think that's excellent. Darien, I'm so glad you guys have that. I think it's so wonderful.
Yeah, and it's actually really funny. We've met, or we know so many people that have met some of their best friends in these different support groups, and now they hang out all the time and get lunch together, and it creates real bonds and real connections for people. So, and especially in times like this when that you're feeling more isolated, coming up with creative ways like FaceTime or phone or that kind of thing can also be helpful.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I think that is so good that we stay in touch like that. Caregiving is an isolating business. As I said, when everything is normal, everything is going just exactly like it should. Caregivers feel very isolated. And that's the very thing that we want to try to encourage. Don't let this happen. You are not alone. You are not isolated. You cannot believe the number of people who are going through this same type of thing. Maybe the dynamics are a little bit different. Maybe you're caring for a spouse, someone else may be caring for a parent or a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle. Someone may be caring for a friend. The relationships may be different, but the task is the same. And one of the key things, too, to reduce your stress as much as possible is sort of be realistic about what you can do. Think in terms of what can I actually do right now? All right, we can't actually get mother or father out. I know here in Houston for the weekend of Easter weekend, they actually closed parks because they were so intent on encouraging social distancing. So the parks weren't even open for people to go to. So, all right, we might not be able to take mother or father out right now. So, what can we realistically do? Perhaps mother or father, grandmother, grandfather can go sit out on the back porch for a little bit. Maybe they can come out on the front porch. And who knows, maybe a neighbor will come up, someone else for them to visit with, someone else for them to talk to for just a few minutes, someone else for you to talk to. And you would just be amazed at the joy that a social interaction like that can bring you. So I really encourage that. Be realistic about what you can do. Don't get all focused. Don't get hyper focused on, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. Because all that's going to do is upset you and make you feel worse. Start looking realistically at things that you can do. Another thing, I think people are having a festival of watching movies and television shows, things like that. Check with your loved one and find out, do they have a favorite movie? Sometimes be surprising with a dementia patient reaching into the past, perhaps a very old movie, maybe one of the old black and white, some of the old mystery movies that they had on. I always think of Nick and Nora Charles, and just those kind of movies are so much fun. But what you can do is pull something like that out and watch that film. Maybe you've never seen it. Maybe it's a favorite of theirs, and you'll find yourself connecting. And you'll also find dementia patients, things like that can trigger memories because it's older and they've known about it for a long time. And you'll suddenly find that they're having a discussion with you and you're kind of, really? I know I always had that experience. I would talk to my grandmother about her vacations, her travels. She and my grandfather they loved to go on road trips, and they lived in Arkansas, but they drove in their car to every state in the United States, clearly not Hawaii, didn't go to Alaska, but they got to every single state except for Rhode Island. And we always laughed about that. I was like, how in the world did you miss Rhode Island? A wrong turn. So we always used to laugh about that. But that gave me a great deal of information that I could then talk to them about. And especially as dementia took hold, more and more, I could bring up a trip. Grandma, have you ever been to the Smoky Mountains? Oh, yes. And then off she would go, telling me all about it, talking about it like the trip had happened last week. And it was phenomenal because we could actually connect on that. So maybe an old movie, something like that. Again, you will just be amazed how it will lower your stress level to have something like that happen. Something else to think about with our dementia patients, you need to realize, I know you probably do, but let me kind of put this bug in your ear. They didn't do this on purpose. They didn't leave you on purpose. They didn't know this was happening to them because it crept up so slowly. And by the time they might have realized something was wrong, it had gone too far. They didn't leave you on purpose. Sometimes caregivers get themselves into a mode where they're very resentful and, well, I don't know why she acts like this. And I went through that. I went through that phase. Listen to grandma talking utter nonsense. Why is she saying these things? It took me a long time And I had a lot of very skilled therapists, a lot of very skilled medical social workers, people that were helping me as well as helping my grandparents to understand what had happened to them and how they weren't doing this on purpose and they didn't leave me on purpose. That was very freeing, and that actually wound up being a great stress reliever for me. That was my personal experience. So that's why I share that today. It may sound a little off the wall, forgive me, but just be aware they didn't leave you on purpose. And so try not to let that wear on you as a stressor. In the meantime, connect with them every way you can and love on them. And remember that person is still in there. Sometimes with dementia, we really have to ferret it out. It's sort of like the old Easter egg hunt, you know, the egg buried in the grass that's really high and we don't necessarily see it. We have to really look for it, and we have to pry the blades of grass apart sometimes. But the memories are there. Some of the memories are there. And so find the ones that are and make that connection. And I'm telling you, you want to talk about a big stress reducer. The excitement, the fun, the joy, the pure joy of making a connection with your loved one who's had one or some form of the dementias, it is a shot in the arm. So I encourage you to look for that.
It's really important. And we've been talking a lot about just connections. But that's what it really just people, I think we crave connection. And so finding it in any way that we can helps us, makes us feel better. And we actually do have a comment that came in. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Caitlin says, this is such great advice. It's amazing what sitting on the back porch during lunch will do. I think it's important to forgive ourselves when we aren't at our best as well. Tomorrow's always a new day.
That's really, I agree. Oh, that's wonderful advice, wonderful wisdom, I think. Yes. Caitlin, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, let's not be too hard on ourselves. It's easy to get into that. It's easy to think, I should have, if I had only, I should have done, or why didn't I? Go down that road again. That's a stressor. And at the end of the day, I mean, really, can you go back and fix it? Probably not. You know, let's just start fresh where we are and let's move forward.
Yeah. Another thing we had briefly talked about before we got on this was you mentioned to me just finding a space of your own. Can you tell us a little bit about how that helps you?
Absolutely. Connection is so key, and we're all talking about that because we're all supposed to be socially isolated and distant and away from each other and so forth. But listen, just being able to go into your room and shut the door, even if it's just for a few minutes, and just breathe and just do something you want to do. Perhaps you have a book that you're reading, or just even something that if you can get alone and go do it by yourself, oh my goodness, again, it is a shot in the arm to you. I was laughing. I had to go to the grocery store and I got in the car and I was on my way. And all at once it dawned on me, I was in the car absolutely by myself. And it was almost like I wanted to look around like, oh, this is amazing. I love it. So I kind of laugh. I pick at my family a little bit. They pick back because, again, we are used to being at home together. From that, we have learned the value of just having some time to yourself. It is, again, you don't want to just live. No man is an island, the old saying goes. And that is true. You don't want to live that way, but you definitely want to take advantage of every opportunity to just be alone for a minute, be tranquil, be peaceful, go outside on that back porch that you were talking about, the young lady, Caitlin, who said going out on the back porch is a great thing. Go out there on the back porch with a cup of hot tea, a cup of coffee. If you're in Houston and it's summer, you may need iced tea, something like that, but go and just get somewhere that you can relax and be by yourself. And as I always stress, I always urge people, particularly people of faith, take time and pray. This is absolutely a wonderful time for people to get away from the noise and the normal of everything. Take some minutes, maybe in the early part of the day, the morning. Personally, I use the morning where I get by myself and I take time and I read God's word and I have some prayer time. And it's great for me personally, just my own personal experience. It sets the course for my day. And I appreciate having that time. And I always try to afford my husband that same time in the morning. You know, I'll get up and I'll go to a separate room so that he can have some time where he can get his day set the way he wants to, and have his time where he reads God's word and he has some time in prayer as well. So I really encourage that. This is just such a bizarre time that we're living in. It is such an odd situation that we are in. Nothing like this, certainly not in my lifetime, has ever occurred. But I really encourage people to stop and let's look at what God's word has to say about this, and let's look at how the fact that I'm telling you, Jesus really does love you, and Jesus really does want a relationship with you. So I encourage that in every way that I can. I know that that is a tremendous stress reducer as well.
I know in your book you talk a lot about your faith. My faith too. It really helps me to just talk to God, and I feel like in a way that's another connection, just a different kind of connection.
Exactly. Well said.
We really, really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today.
Oh, I am glad to do it. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope someone is encouraged and helped by it today.
And if you guys do want some more information about Leah, you can visit her website. She does have her book. It's Goodnight Suite of Caregivers Long Goodbye. So you can be sure to check that out and learn more about her and her story and her caregiving journey. But with that, we're going to say goodbye to Leah for today. We really appreciate you again coming out.
Oh, thank you, Darien. I appreciate the opportunity.
And we really, really appreciate all of you guys for watching at home. We really encourage you guys to comment and chip in anytime you'd like. If you have anything to share, say. We really just want to hear from you guys and hear how you guys are doing. You can email us at info@carepartnerstexas.org. We'd love to see some of your different activities that you guys have been doing. We have that online gathering place guide that you can download and do some different crafts, activities, exercises with your loved ones at home. If you guys are doing that, we would really love to see just kind of what you guys are doing, what you guys are up to. If you guys have any ways that you're managing your stress or just trying to manage your days, just let us know how you guys are doing or if there's anything that we can do to help. We really, really miss you guys, and we can't wait to get back to all of our in-person programming. Until then, we'll be back again tomorrow with another great topic. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.